James, thanks for taking some time to join us this morning. Looking ahead to the Broncos and Panthers coming up on Sunday. The Broncos are coming off of a close loss against the Chiefs. Do you feel like there's any momentum that they can take from that game into this Sunday?
Well, it's interesting because this is my first look at the Broncos this year. And I almost feel like I've been cheated because at the end of last year, you saw this promise. You saw Drew Lock. You saw Philip Lindsay. You saw Cortland Sutton. You saw a lot of things happening on offense that you thought would transfer over into this year. And it's kind of been a case of not so much so far.
It seems like the Broncos go as Drew Lock goes. You know, if he plays well, they tend to be closer, win games. What have you seen from him? Like you mentioned, not quite the same as those last 5 games from last season.
Well, what you're always looking for, and I was thinking about this before we started the interview, you're looking for that quarterback stability. And as I look through the AFC West, and you look at that division by itself, you look at the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I think they found a quarterback that they think could be the guy for the next 10 or 12 years. The same thing with Derek Carr in Las Vegas. I had to hesitate there for a second to say Las Vegas. It doesn't roll off the tongue, and we know the story in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. And obviously Bronco fans are curious. They're hoping. They've got their fingers crossed because Drew Lock has had those moments where you go, yeah, I like that. And then he's had some moments where you go, that's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, the consistency hasn't been there. But the Broncos went out this last offseason and brought in a bunch of weapons to help him out, including Jerry Jeudy, a first-round pick at the wideout position. He only had 1 catch last week, though, James. I was wondering, as a Hall of Fame wide receiver yourself, what's it like that rookie year when maybe you're not seeing as many targets as you would hope for?
And you're not seeing what you saw the year before while you were at the collegiate level where you are dominating almost each and every week. So I think that's a change for a lot of the Alabama, a lot of the LSU athletes, a lot of the Clemson athletes. When they come into the league, I was talking to one Clemson player last week. He had lost 3 games while he was in college. And this year, he's playing for the New York Jets. So quite a different story when you go from dominating at the collegiate level to being kind of one of the average teams in the NFL. And I think at every position, there's kind of that learning curve. And the thing that you really want to learn, it's not about who we play, it's about how I play. And I think the guys really have to focus on that.
How do you not let that frustration overtake you a little bit? Because he's posted some stuff on Twitter that people thought maybe are related to the game. And, when you're struggling like that to get the targets or the production you want, how do you let that not affect you?
Well, 40 years ago, players used to tell reporters, I don't read the newspaper. I don't watch television. Now they need to go to their internet advisor and say, I'm not into social media. I stay away from that stuff because it really can taint the way that you feel about a fan base, the way that you feel about your performance, and maybe even the way that you feel about the guy sitting just on the other side of the locker room. So I think that you have to take that in small doses if you're doing it, and you can't just be addicted to it and on it so quickly after a game that you haven't had that cool down period to kind of think about it and to look at the film and to talk to your coaches and to talk to your teammates.
I was going to ask you about this Panthers matchup. An interesting relationship here with Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, his dad, Ed McCaffrey, played so long here in Denver. What do you think that's going to feel like for Christian this Sunday?
Well, he's a pro, and he probably had to go through it when he was at Stanford. If you go play Colorado, which is your home state, and different things like that. So you get over that. And for Christian, who's coming back from injury, he's only played 3 ball games this year. So he's kind of chomping at the bit for this last quarter of the season to get a chance to kind of show that he's the guy that was awarded the huge contract and that running backs don't have an early expiration date on themselves.
James, last question for you here. I think this is the first time we've had a chance to chat since Steve Atwater was elected into the Hall of Fame. Were you happy to see that for a guy you went up against?
I really was. And being one of the selectors, I tried not to go overboard in the meeting gushing about him. There are a lot of good strong safeties that are kind of on that list. John Lynch, who also a Denver Broncos, on that list. But for me, playing against somebody and understanding that we tried to stay away from him, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek, knowing that you couldn't stay away from him because he was all over the field all the time. And he really was exactly what you wanted at the strong safety position at that time in the league. And I'm just so happy for him, and can't wait for 2021 to roll around where we can get those ceremonies going again back in Canton, Ohio.
Yes, that's going to be an exciting weekend. I think Peyton Manning has a pretty good shot of also getting in his year.
Yeah, he might just squeeze in there. So maybe Peyton Manning.
James, I really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you on TV on Sunday.
I'm looking forward to the broadcast. I love each and every weekend.